Hey everyone, this is an update slash announcement of where we have been and where we're heading and the grading of Project 1. We're looking at the page that had due date 6, which was due this past Wednesday. No, which was due the Wednesday before. Just wanted to say that Casper and Mark did all of the grading on this one. Both assured me that if you did not get full points, there should be comments in the gradebook. I do have some comments in my email, and I'll be checking those over the next couple days. So those of you who emailed saying, "Hey, I don't understand this," I'm going to follow up on that. But I just want to say the grading for due date 6 is done. So please go check your gradebook, as I promise that we will always do. Due date 7, which you just completed, which included the submission of Project 1. Go team. I hope you pat yourself on the back. You've done a great job getting to this point, and definitely this is the midpoint of the semester. Yesterday, the two TAs and I met and we normed. We picked a certain number of papers that all three of us grade, and then we shared our comments of how we graded, how we assessed it. And that was a really telling activity. And so part of what I want to talk through now is kind of the results of our norming session, so you understand what we're doing as we're grading over the next week for Project 1. So we've divided up the grading. All three of us are taking separate batches based on which text you picked, which text you're writing about both this time and next time. So here is a copy of the original grade sheet. So it's missing all of the assignment prompt part with some prompting for commenting, but then this should look familiar. No, that's used. Hold on, I want original. There we go. It should look familiar. And based on our reading and assessing and sharing yesterday, we've made a few changes to the grade sheet, and they're all basically in your favor, and or slash moving down here some specific qualifiers that were mentioned above. So let me quickly talk through the changes we made and show you what it is. First, Part 1, defining action, we said we wanted story style and social functions. Those were things that were introduced in film art. And what we realized is that just the social functions element, 1 is much more tricky to understand, and 2 was not as heavily emphasized. With the idea that it's, focusing on the film and its placement in relation to social histories, and or the criteria have a clear sense of audience purpose, audience wants and needs. So what we did is we moved this need for social functions to the B category instead of the C category. So if you complete everything in the C category, you earn a high C and can then move on to the B category. So we want to say that, and that actually should work all to your benefit. So what we were finding is that a lot of the papers that we all graded were getting much lower grades, and once we moved that social functions to the B category, everyone did much better. So hopefully that makes everybody happy. Okay, the Part 2 Action Festival proposal, I explicitly caught, because before I grade, I closely reread the assignment prompt and said, hey, in the assignment prompt we said you would not have to explicitly quote from the novel, and then it's here in the rubric. So that's just basically getting cut. That, the emphasis was on the film this round. Down in the B category, one thing, and actually someone on the assignment prompt asked for this clarification. So in 3 places, we further clarified that these examples we're talking about are the films or primary texts. So I'm actually going to show you here on the new. So this is the grade sheet we're actually using. So notice that social is not here. The novel is not here. Social has moved down to B. But what's changed here is that in this one example, we've clarified film / primary text. So all that to say is that the examples are not the secondary text, the scholarship. Okay, and then want to say on all when we're assessing these, usually it's kind of a yes/no checklist. However, we do want to say on the surface style grammar categories, more often than not, we're just going to put the term okay. And what that means is, please realize it means that as we're reading, yes, this course has a writing requirement, and we are trying to, we've tried to build in strategies that help you become better writers. But also, at the end of the day, it's a course on lit and film, and we want to emphasize more of our energy on the content, the ideas in which you're discussing. And so please realize that those categories, if we put okay, means that as we're reading, nothing substantially popped out at us. A big deal is like if you're writing, especially surface and grammar features are distracting us from what we're trying to read, then Houston, we have a problem. But if we can gauge over that. But we just want you to know that just because we put okay there doesn't mean we're necessarily giving you the stamp of approval of you are amazing grammarians. Hopefully you realize at this point, especially those of you who are amazing grammarians, that I am not an amazing grammarian. Not my strength as a writer. So I empathize with that. But I just want you to understand that, with that type of assessment, or with that okay, what we mean by that. In the documents that we collectively looked at yesterday, we actually did see some substantial issues with the MLA citations. Again, the assignment prompt itself specifically said, so this is in the assignment prompt, not the rubric, that for in-text citations talking about films, and we're specifically meaning at least the films we know you watched, so the Jekyll and Hydes and your text, we asked for you to put in timestamps. So now if you just like randomly, someone mentioned Die Hard, that we're not necessarily expecting timestamps because we realize that you're pulling on your previous experience. But the films that we know that you've been working with, and again, we said it in the assignment prompt, timestamps. Similarly, the full bibliographic style, we said we're going to use MLA 8th edition. And then we, took the time in the assignment prompt to kind of share examples of that, and also to link out to the Purdue OWL, which has been updated for ML8. And some of the ones we looked at, we're not doing either of those. So again, the revised grade sheet clearly articulates that, timestamps, and then the MLA 8th edition. So finally, the last two changes were the same as those other ones, where it's just articulating that the examples are filmic primary examples. So again, if we go to used, you'll see it's the same change as above. So in short, these shifts are either things that, like that cutting of the reference to the film literary text, and or your text, the novel or short story, and moving social down. Those are definitely to your benefit. The other ones are just more careful articulations of what we meant and what was already described in the assignment prompt. I hope that helps. Now, the last thing, just so you know, our plan is to get all of these back to you before spring break. Please realize in the syllabus we said we'd have up to 2 weeks. That's really only giving us 1 week. And yesterday we met and tried to articulate this, so we're giving it the old college try. Our hope is to have these posted to you next Friday. May even be end of day Friday, but what you will get is you will get a link to this document. So everyone will get a document that has some comments and then works through the rubric, and it'll be shared with your specific UA Gmail account. So you'll in comment mode, so you'll have the ability to dialogue on the side like you have with the assignment prompts in the syllabus if you so desire. Also, please note, you will have the opportunity for major projects to revise and resubmit. I will attach to this video, I will link to all 3 of these documents so you can see them. And the revise and resubmit guidelines do ask that you do some work for that revise and resubmit, and we will, as long as we meet our plan of getting the grades back to you by right before spring break, so I forget what next Friday is. I want to say it's the 10th or something like that. We're going to give you until the end of the month, so March 31st, to revise and resubmit project 1, if you so desire. Not suggesting. Right now, I will just throw this out there. Right now, we think we're going to see a lot of Bs. That social and that MLA. We imagine both of those are some glitches. But the nice thing is both of those hopefully would be something, if you choose to revise and resubmit, that you can do with relative ease. Last but not least, go back to the course. I am the one who is going to be doing all the grading for due date 7, so I will also be getting that done over this next week. So please be patient, because I'll be juggling both that and grading my portion of the papers. And just a look ahead of what you're working on, you've already started working on. So we're really moving into more explicit discussions and exploration of adaptation. I mean, obviously you've already been doing that because you've been looking and comparing the text. This first week, hopefully you'll see it is, well, I'm excited about it. It's giving you time to just kind of think about and, like I said, obsess over fidelity. Please be warned, this this chapter from Burke, chapter 3, Fans and Fidelity, it is a longer chapter. Give yourself some time to read that. However, in the name of kind of getting a sense of how things are working, and also listening to you all, although it is a power of process, I think there's only 4 prompts. It's condensed down, not asking you to engage with the text as in many ways. You've got a few discussion board entries that, again, it should be getting you just really starting to think about adaptation. And the one thing I want to challenge you with these is to use that language from film art. Part of thinking about adaptation is focusing on the formal differences between literary text, alphabetic text, and audio-visual filmic text. And you need that language of how audio-visual filmic text works. And although we did not spend as much time reviewing language for alphabetic literary texts, again, if you remember back to the announcement, more of you said that 1, you've already taken a literature course before, and 2, I know most of you, actually I know it's required for this, you've also passed your foundations writing requirement, which also gave you language to talk about alphabetic text. So just keep reminding yourself that that's what you're doing at this. The homework 3, researching your text pairing. 1, I want you to note that 1, 2, and 3 are kind of all read skim things. The idea being that for a lot of you, you've probably done annotated bibliographies before. You've used the library resources before, but these are all here, mass once, going like here's the reminder, the refresher, if it's been a while. And I really want to draw your attention to this very last link here, Ask a Librarian. Folks, those people are trained to help you find information. And some of you are actually going to struggle with finding information about your sources. So if you're struggling, please go ask a librarian. And maybe even just so foreshadowing, you're going to be asked to do kind of one week. There's 2 annotated bibliographies almost every week for the next 4 or 5 weeks, working towards your project 2. And so spending time to go ask a librarian about finding resources about your texts, both the literary alphabetic text and the film text, or multiple films, it could be useful to find some of those for comparison purposes, is worth your time. And don't necessarily shut it down. It's like, I found one, I'm done. But potentially if you and a librarian get on a roll and you find a bunch of sources, it's worth listing and kind of keeping all those, because you'll be building more entries. So this annotated bibliography entry, just a couple things to say about this. One, notice we didn't explicitly say that it has to be a scholarly source. So, for example, the IMDb page about a film, especially when you talk kind of the whole ecology of all the pages associated with a film, actually has a lot of detailed information about production and stuff like that. That you might find things like where did it go? Where did it go? Huh. Was it last week? Did something get lost? Interesting. Something got lost and I have to find it again. That the library also has some links to resources about specifically about film, and I'm going to go find where that got misplaced. I think I have an idea of where that might have got misplaced, and I'll get it in here. And some of those are kind of trade journals for the film and entertainment industry. And I just want you to realize that those count. We're not doing this type of work. I think it's a mistake to say that you only have to find peer-reviewed scholarly, but I'm also challenging you, make sure you try to look for both, look for it all. And so don't stress if you can't find something in a peer-reviewed scholarly journal. Also notice that for this particular entry, try. So we're giving suggestions on things that you might find, but also we say try because we know they may not exist depending on what text you're doing and stuff like that. So again, these annotated bibliographies, just keep reminding yourself the point is for you to just be finding sources for you to start understanding how your texts are being talked about. It's in writing studies, it's called entering the Burkean parlor. You want to sit and listen for a while, see what people are saying. And so we're trying to get you to find those sources so you can sit and listen. Finally, homework 4, that mid-course survey. I can't give you credit for it because this we're sincerely wanting your feedback on design of the course thus far. But I really request that you take it. And here, let me show you the reason for that. Oh, I'm going to change that link so it pops out, is we're asking you to give kind of feedback about the specific types of activities. Whereas I've already kind of culled some of them for further in the course, but realize especially for the Connect, you've done a lot of the chapters. But yeah, trying to get feedback on the specific types of activities and then also giving you space that, again, that anything you're worried at this point will respond to that. Again, this time we won't be able to respond to individuals, but collectively as a class. So yes, again, I'm asking nicely that you try to do this because you're providing really useful feedback, some as we move forward with this class, but definitely for future iterations of the class. Thank you for your time. I know it's under 20 minutes. I appreciate it. Hopefully you've remembered how to fast forward your YouTube videos.